What's happening, Hardscapers? Today we're going to talk about front steps and how many steps you're going to need for your front walkway. Let's get into this. So when it comes to a front area and calculating how many steps you need, it is from the threshold of the bottom to that top step. And we just divided, these are 7-inch steps, so 7, 14, 21. It was 21 inches from the top to the bottom here. Now with the driveway, you can't fudge the slope. It's already predetermined from the garage floor down to the sidewalk. But what you can fudge is the slope beyond the actual driveway here. So if this porch was pushed back further, we could actually have some room to play with this walkway, whether it's the slope of the driveway is too steep and then you start to level it out a little bit, or if you need to bring it up a little bit to make up an inch or so. And in that sense, if this was not a perfect 7, 14, 21, if it was 22 inches, we could fudge this front walkway a little bit to be able to get that to 21 inches, and then we could have our 7, 14, 21. Alternatively, we can also choose different step block to get us to 8 inches at maximum for me, or 6 inches. I do like 6-inch steps. 7 inch is probably my max that I go, maybe 7 1/4, but for the most part with these prefabricated steps, there's no fudging them, but you could use wall block and put a natural stone cap on top to give you 6 inches, or to make that a little bit more custom depending on the situation. So there's two ways to go about this. If you have the room, this porch is pushed back, or the entrance is over there further, you have some room with this front walkway to slope it to get you to an even number and place whatever steps you need. Second option, make it custom and build your own steps to be able to make up the difference, or get a 6-inch, 7-inch, or 8-inch step, whatever works best in your situation. Now another thing we need to consider is the run on the steps. So however many steps we need, we also need to consider the tread of those steps, add them all together, because that's the elevation, the zero mark that we need to measure from to the top of the porch to be able to get the number of steps that we need. For example, these steps, there's 2 of them and their tread is 16 inches each. That's 32 inches for the 2 steps. And it's at that 32-inch mark where we need to measure the bottom to the top of the porch to really get our true height of what our steps should equal to. This isn't a huge deal in this case. It doesn't really throw off much. I think we're just like an extra 1 inch that we needed to make up there. But for steps that you're getting into 4, 5, 6 steps, and there is a significant slope on the driveway, you're either looking at building a more raised structure to be able to create a landing and then step down to on the driveway, or you're looking at measuring the treads of all your steps, adding them all together, and then measuring from that point to the top of your porch. And to do this, you're either using a high precision altimeter, you're using a rotary laser level, or you're using a long 8-foot level. You're leveling it out and you're measuring down from that. So you're placing that on the porch and then extending it out, making sure it's level, and then measuring down from that level down to where your steps end to get that elevation. Now when it comes to actually building the steps, we use a 6 to 8-inch base. We tie that into whatever the driveway is, or if we're doing some sort of landing area and it's open graded base, we'll tie it into that. We're using a geotextile to separate that base from our subsoil, compacting our subsoil and then working our way through the base. Then we screed and we place some sort of leveling block. This just allows us, especially if we're installing these solid steps, to just place them in place. And then with these solid steps, we're using a riser on the sides of them to then place the next step up. And typically with those risers, I'm filling in with aggregate underneath to then place that next step on top. And you can also add some sort of adhesive onto those risers when you're placing that next step. As we get to more and more steps, like 3 or 4 more steps in this, we do sometimes pour a concrete pad to place the steps. And then there's 2 options for you to build these steps. Like I said in the video, we talked about building them out of retaining wall block with a cap on top and building them with solid stone steps. There aren't many concrete solid steps that I like on the market, so I usually prefer a solid natural stone step or going the route of building a step using retaining wall block with a natural stone cap on top. Now there are some problems with natural stone. It is not salt resistant like the manufacturer's warranty against with concrete products, but you can always seal them or use a sand in the wintertime to prevent any slipping. Also, natural stone is fairly inconsistent with the coloring, especially when you're getting to like a limestone. So it's something that you want to tell your clients beforehand that natural stone is just natural stone. It's not manufactured. It's not meant to be perfect from one step to the other. That's kind of the charm of it. So that's something that you do also want to explain for this. And then also when you're getting to solid stone block, when it comes to placing them, you are getting into a machine being able to place those. However, building a step with blocks and a natural stone cap does not require any machine or equipment to be able to install this. Base is prepped the same way. I don't use a leveling block the same way I would in a solid stone installation. In this case, we're actually embedding a layer of that stone about 6 inches for our steps still. With solid natural stone, you're stuck with the rise of whatever those are, but with building your own step, you can choose and substitute the retaining wall block to get the rise that you are actually going for each step. Now, still with building from retaining wall block, we stick with the rise from step to step. We don't go 7 inches and then 8 inches and then 8 inches and then 7 inches, or mixing up the different rises. We still keep that consistent because that allows us to tie each step together. So it's just a matter of picking the retaining wall block along with the step cap that gets you the rise that you're actually going for with it. And really, that's just a matter of choosing the actual retaining wall block. That gives you your height because the step deducts from each step that you're going up. So look for that retaining wall block that's going to give you the height that you want with your steps. I prefer a 6-inch step with a long tread, so at least 16 inches of a tread with a 6-inch step. Or you can go taller than a 6-inch step, just have the tread be less than 16 inches, and you're not having your heel coming off the step in any way. It's just the perfect amount there. And then when it comes to actually building that block step, we do have a video on this on our channel. It's very similar to actually building a segmental retaining wall where we're embedding that layer and then we're building up, and we're just making sure that we're tying each step into one another. So that could include a lot of corner units, especially if both sides of this step are exposed, and lots of cutting for these steps. And then you want to build it to the width of your step cap and ensuring that there is a 1-inch overhang. For me, at least, I enjoy a 1-inch overhang at the front and at the sides, though you can build your sides flush to that natural stone cap and only have the overhang on that front section. And then you can always offer the option of being able to install hardscape lighting underneath those caps, which is a great solution for aesthetic appeal as well as safety, being that we're installing steps. We do also fill in the void between each step that the retaining wall blocks leave, and if you even want to get further into building 3+ steps, you can add GeoGrid in there to lock everything in together. Now, it's worth noting that depending on your local codes, you may also need a railing. For us, it's, I believe, 24 inches. And if your steps are more than 24 inches, you need to install a railing. So that's also something that you need to consider for this. Hey, I hope this video has been helpful for you. If it has, a like really goes a long way for us with this channel and bringing you more and more content. Comment below any questions that you may have about this topic. And if you want to learn more about hardscaping, we do have our members only platform. That will be linked in the description below, as well as you'll see a video popping up somewhere here about how to build that block step that I was talking about there. Subscribe to this YouTube channel for more hardscaping content like this. Thank you so much for watching.